I'm going live now. That's okay.
Tell us your famous comics or something.
I'll do a post.
Cool.
Live now.
Tell us your famous comics or something. Oh, whoops, I think your volume's, I think your YouTube is on and the volume is up.
I should.
Oh, shit. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, we are live now, talking famous and maybe not so famous comics. Join the convo.
Sound check. What the fuck?
Should I post in the ACS group? Robbie usually does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does. So much work that Robbie does that we don't know about.
He does, yeah.
Kidding. How you feeling today, Chris?
Feeling all right, man. Been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my day started off with I was given the finger by some lady.
Oh, that's how you know it's gonna be a great
yeah,
day.
as I pulled out of my neighborhood, and kind of I really, well, made me happy. Made me happy. I was glad that she was upset.
Are you glad that you're the one that made her upset, or that you were on the receiving end of her ire?
I taught her a lesson, and I think when someone is so angry that they give you the finger, and I don't care, like, I know that I kind of won in that situation, right? Because I fucked her, I changed her mood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I was in the position of power in that situation. Like, I had the power to wreck her next 5 minutes because, she was like, she didn't just get over it. A second later, she was just like, that son of a bitch. But anyway, yeah, I was like,
made an impression on her day.
Yeah, because I get on there's a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes going each direction. I pull onto every morning, and there's always these assholes that, are in the right lane, going full speed, and they could very well, so it kind of keeps you from turning on to the highway.
Right.
And this is also how I know I'm getting old, because, like the old people are like, the right lane is for, the left lane is for passing or whatever it is, it's like the right lane is for getting onto the road. So my new thing is that when I see that happening, and I'm like, this person can clearly just get into the left lane so that other people can, turn onto this road and not have to sit here for, 5 minutes. I just pull out. And I don't pull out and like just jam the gas. I just pull out and I just accelerate normally. And I make them change lanes. And this lady, I was like, I looked over as she passed me, because I was kind of hoping that, I made an impression. And yeah, she
I believe he did. It sounds like
she was like looking over at me and gave me the finger, like a real demonstrative, not just
like, this is what I think of you.
Yeah, not just like the casual, like she was like bent down to her steering wheel, like looking over at me, and like gave me the finger, like big, very demonstrably. So I was like, yeah, that's right. And yeah, I don't care. I was like, I will do it again tomorrow if I have to.
It's like, I don't give a fuck, man.
It's just so annoying, you know. It's kind of this obliviousness that I think we see the worst in our society in traffic. Just people are
Dude,
just oblivious.
you want to talk about oblivious behavior? Like I can't stand going grocery shopping or running errands during certain times of day because there are people out there that walk at a pace that's conducive to them, but to the people around them that
Yeah.
are on a time clock or like already know what they're there to get, they just get in the way, and I just want to
Yeah.
kick them.
Have some awareness.
Yes, dude. And then they get fucking offended at you when they're just like, "You're in my way. I need to get away or around from you because you're just a nuisance at this point." They get incensed. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't
Good.
have. Oh man, it's just fuck them. Just get some awareness.
Yeah, I hope they learn a lesson, or it just wrecks their day and they don't learn a lesson. Either way.
No,
Either way.
judging from the behavior that hasn't changed, they haven't learned a lesson.
Yeah. You there, Jane?
I'm here. I was watching the chat.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Who's on? Quana's on. Hi, Quana.
What up, Q?
So she only gave Manny a shout out.
Hello.
Hey, Q. Love you, girl. Great seeing
Catherine is
you.
on. Ooh, and she's got a real name. I forget if she used her real
Cat
name.
Heron.
Yeah.
On here. We got broom backhand.
Another Rob set was like cat
the
herring,
languages.
cat herring or something like that.
Yeah.
He just saw the word herring, like a fish or something.
Damn it.
And Monkey's uncle. Do we know who Monkey's uncle is? We
I
don't
don't
know
think
Monkey's
so.
uncle. We don't know broom backhand or Monkey's uncle. Are they our only two mysteries?
Oh yeah.
Sure. They're only. All right, you guys ready to do this?
Yeah, let's go.
I'm
All
ready.
right. 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, Endless Ranters. Welcome to episode 68 of the Endless Ranters podcast. My name is Chris, but I'm just one of your Endless Ranters hosts for this evening. Joining me tonight are the lovely and talented Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hello.
Hello. And well, let's get right to it. Last but not least, it's producer Manny. What's going down, old man?
Is this thing on? Hello? This is my first time. I hope you guys bear with me. It's
Oh,
going to be a very awkward and learned experience, but don't worry. We'll get through this. Much like my first time having sex, we'll get through this and it'll be nice and awkward.
Hold on. Save that for
okay.
episode 69.
yeah, I was going to say, coming up on next week's episode, it's episode 69. What else is there to say?
Like a laugh goes here.
Yeah. So you're taking the part of Robbie tonight, who's not with us.
Yeah,
He's-
man. I'm the brown man.
You don't
He's
even know
busy.
who he is. He just said he wasn't available this week.
Yeah, he tried to
It's kind of a mystery.
be like, but don't worry, guys. Yeah, you guys go ahead.
Go ahead. You'll
Yeah.
be fine without me.
Mystery man. Well, he's not working, because if he was working, he would just be in an office or conference room somewhere just doing the podcast. you know?
Exactly.
Right.
the
If
clock.
we don't see any memes coming out right now. He's
Yeah,
not
so-
commenting. So we know he is
Probably on
actually
vacation.
busy.
Maybe he eloped.
Ooh, there we go.
Oh,
They
boy.
broke up. They were broken up as of a week or two ago.
Oh,
And
really?
now-
Oh,
well,
that's a shame.
they wake up every other day, so it doesn't really count.
Anyway, let's leave that off for off my talk.
I'm sure it'll all work out in the end. Always does. So
Till
thanks
we die.
everyone. Yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in, listening, watching, supporting the show. We truly appreciate it. Tonight, we're going to talk about and maybe even hear a little bit of our favorite comedians. All right, so I hope you guys are ready for us to play other people's work.
Another one.
Yeah. I had a couple thoughts about last week's show that just popped into my head.
Oh
So
yeah,
then
you
we
weren't
were-
with us, weren't you?
No, I was with us last week. It was the week
Oh,
before.
the week before.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll just cut. So we were talking about accepted science, right? Because we were talking about aliens.
Oh
and
yeah, that's
space
right.
travel and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So I shared with you guys a link to an article, I think from the Guardian. I won't get into too much, but I always like to point this out because there are like two schools of accepted science. There's the theory of relativity and Einstein and all that, which I think the only reason I can give this a quick summary is because I've read it recently, or read about this recently, is that it does a really great job, or perfect job, explaining really large things like how planets, gravitational fields, whatever, affect big things. But then there's another school of accepted science, that's quantum physics, which gives great explanations to things that are minuscule, like atoms, molecules, things like that. But those two theories of science don't jibe. So I think we were talking about the Hadron Collider, where CERN, wherever that is in Belgium or whatever, and like what they're doing is like that's kind of like why they're doing all these experiments, is because they're trying to figure out the link. They're trying to figure out how they take these two brilliant scientific theories and marry them together, because I guess when you apply theory of relativity to tiny particles, it doesn't make sense. And when you apply quantum physics to very large objects like planets, it doesn't make sense at all. So I don't know. I think about that a lot. I am kind of a, I don't know if you'd call me a religious person, but I do kind of have some beliefs, and I always think about that when folks are quick to throw those things out because of science and all that kind of stuff. I know in the context of our conversation, we were kind of talking more about like, could aliens or whatever, travel light years, and actually survive those trips or something like that. But I don't know if you guys have any thoughts. I just,
Well, if I can apply my Jordan Peterson, Carl Jung nerd out, like kind of interest, current obsession, they talk about order and chaos. And I've been thinking as I read them, that there's some kind of tie between the physics and mathematical world and all these psychological mythology ideas that Jung and Peterson get into. And I kind of wonder if maybe but the quantum mechanics on the small scale, there's all this chaos theory too. So maybe they're kind of on like the microscopic world sort of falls under the chaos side of things. And then like the big planets and the gravitational pulls in the solar systems and that's all like how predictable like our rotation around the sun is. Like we never question it. But maybe that's the order. I'm determined.
No, I'm get you. I think like we have these maybe we have these ideas that say spirituality and or whatever we want to call it, and scientific theory of matter, molecules, planet, all that kind of stuff, that those two things don't jibe. And I always wonder, like maybe there may be someday where we realize, oh no, they do actually, So I think there's like something. I watched a documentary years ago on something called string theory.
Oh, that's just crazy, man.
Yeah, and if I can kind of butcher it, it's basically saying that there's another dimension. There's like something, like all the things we see, there's something around the corner. And I don't know that, I haven't heard of that in a long time. So I don't know if it was debunked or just didn't really work out. But I remember like the point of it was like, we found something that ties these, the theory of relativity and quantum physics together. So I was just, if I'm in a serious conversation with people about kind of spirituality and things like that, I always just say like, don't rule those things out because you think that the Big Bang Theory is spot on. Like the scientists that would explain the Big Bang Theory to you, on the evening news are hard at work all day long trying to figure out how it really works. Like they're doing studies to try to discover all those things. Anyway, yeah. So funny, huh? Hilarious.
Absolutely.
That was my stand-up routine that I tried out for a year, and it just never really landed.
I think you just didn't engage your audience properly. That's what it was. I mean, the material is strong as fuck, man.
I don't know, it's something that fascinates me. And then like, yeah, like I would say like the people like Christians or Muslims or Hindus, whatever, they know a lot more about their religion than most atheists know about science, just that. I know that's a
So atheists are misled and misinformed, is what you're saying.
well, they take things like, the Big Bang Theory, like they're kind of like, you see, like you can't, like, you see, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, there's no God, there's nothing, just
We're just an accident.
Yeah, there's black holes. You see, I was like, okay, explain a black hole.
Well, yeah,
there's a movie. It's like
tie that into all the COVID stuff too. Like, oh yeah, mass work.
What's
just
that?
To, like, go against, like, you just believe whatever will go against what the people you don't like.
It's very convenient.
Believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very convenient if you can just kind of make up your belief system as you go. Yeah, like having religious beliefs, and like, you're right, it's very inconvenient to not be able to do whatever the hell you want all the time. So
absolutely,
and it's wrong.
It's a
so Manny, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to just tie it all together. How does all this stuff work?
Well, it's funny because I as well went down the YouTube rabbit hole and I watched a bunch of behind the scenes documentaries on Christopher Nolan's movies, because you know how Michael Bay is obsessed with explosions?
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan is obsessed with time and existence as a whole. Like his
confusing people.
Yeah, his first movie, Memento, that whole thing was like not shot backwards, but it progressed backwards.
Yep.
Yeah, so you'd like go.
It was a total mind fuck. And
I
then
forget that it was his
90 to 99, 80 to 90, 70 to
exactly.
Yeah.
And then in another one that he was obsessed with time. Well, not time, but time was a factor. But Inception, that was like all, mind, mental. It's just like
yeah.
And then Interstellar, which ties into a lot of what we spoke about last episode.
Don't make Chris fall asleep.
And it just it just goes in deeper on what you were just talking about, as far as like, the universe as a whole, quantum mechanics, quantum physics,
right.
all that shit. And it was really fascinating because I've always been very inquisitive and just why, especially after my parents got divorced, it just got ramped up. And I've always just wondered about, the universe.
It wasn't your fault, Manny.
It was not, no, but
it wasn't your fault, man.
Yeah, but it just like elevated my inquisitive nature, and
sure.
I glommed onto that. It's just like, I want to know how this world and this universe around me works. Cause like, I'm not going to get too deep into the religious thing, but there are times where I felt like life was talking to me, and not just me, like it'll talk to everybody. I think it's just whether up to the individual to listen, or if you're too busy being self-absorbed to kind of pay attention to the signs being thrown your way.
It's very much a timing thing, right? Yeah, you have to be open to something. You have to be open to something to believe it, of course. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes like you just have to be in a really broken state to like kind of I don't know, like in a sense, I don't know, okay, too weird here, but like kind of give up control and admit that that's probably like a 10-step thing for Alcoholics Anonymous. Like give up control and admit that, like you're not really in charge.
Exactly. We're just here on this plane of existence, and it's just like, man, I just gotta make peace in a sense with what's happening around me, and let's just see how I make it through to the other end.
Yeah. Interstellar, Jane made a joke. I have fallen asleep to Interstellar many times because I love the movie, and I'll start it at like 11 o'clock, and then I'll like, and then the next night I'll fast forward to where I think I fell asleep and pick it up from there. But I love that movie. So it's not a derogatory thing. It's just, that's my, that's a soothing movie to me. I don't know why.
It is. I mean, even though it's like a very bleak subject that they're covering, it is somewhat, when you get to the other end of it as a viewer, it's just like, oh, it was like bittersweet.
Yeah. It's really kind of gut wrenching, but then good ending, I thought. So, again, hilarious. I mean,
well, it's funny you asked me to tie it all in, talking about broken individuals. I think a good portion of this episode we're focusing on some of our favorite broken individuals, stand-up comedians.
Oh, you're a fucking genius, Manny.
Thank you.
You're a genius. Well,
favorites.
I was thinking, if y'all don't mind, I was going to go first because I was going to play a clip from one of my favorite comedians of all time. Doesn't really work anymore. Kind of forced into an early retirement, I think.
Too problematic.
Yeah, problematic behavior, but nonetheless had some classic bits that I really appreciate because of just I'll let him explain for himself, and then kind of a pretty sordid some pretty sordid behaviors that I guess make him not so popular these days. So yeah, you don't mind if I go first?
Go for it.
Okay. So one of my favorite comedians of all time, and I just have one. I don't want to get into like a list of them, although I did watch Eddie Murphy Raw a couple nights ago. Yeah, Eddie. But no, Louis C.K. Louis C.K. So I like him because of just the darkness. So he does this, he does the of course, but maybe bits, right? And I'll play this clip because it's like he does a really good job explaining these thoughts that we have, like good thoughts and then opposing bad thoughts. And so let me, while I'm talking and clicking at the same time, I'm gonna play a clip and act like I do this all the time. So, whoop, and then I'm not gonna do it because I didn't share the sound, but I'm gonna keep talking like right on through this because
Chris's first night, everything here.
That's how smooth I am here, and then talk really slow. Share. Okay, so here we are, everybody. So I found this good clip, and it doesn't have any commercials or ads or anything like that. So
Sweet.
Someone else stole it from him. So I'll just go ahead and play it, and hopefully, you guys give me a thumbs up if you hear it.
Everybody has a competition in their brain of good thoughts and bad thoughts. Hopefully, the good thoughts win. For me, I always have both. I have like the thing I believe, the good thing. That's the thing I believe. And then there's this thing. And I don't believe it, but it is there. It's always this thing and then this thing. It's become a category in my brain that I call, of course, but maybe. I'll give you an example. Okay, like of course, children who have nut allergies need to be protected. Of course. We have to segregate their food from nuts, have their medication available at all times, and anybody who manufactures or serves food needs to be aware of deadly nut allergies. Of course. But maybe if touching a nut kills you, you're supposed to die. Of course not. Of course.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a couple more gems there. He talks about if you're a soldier and you get shot, you go to a foreign country and you shoot at the enemy and you get shot. It's really not that weird, like
Absolutely.
it says stuff like, of course it's terrible. It's a tragedy, but maybe it's a little bit your fault. Anyway, so that's one of my favorite bits. And then the way he sets it up, he just explains it. I like dark comedy, and he's also kind of explaining the the mechanics of dark comedy and like how you have these thoughts that are good and they're good, and then you have these thoughts that are like the total opposite of good, right? Because you can't have good without bad.
Never-ending struggle.
Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah, I could watch that for a long time. But all right, so what I was saying is that he had kind of he had some problems, and is no longer really a mainstream comic. No more
still
HBO
working.
specials. Yeah, I guess he is still working in some basements or some dark comedy clubs.
In G-Sellers, wherever you could find them.
Yeah, but I've said I'd wanted to go first just because afterwards we'll need like a palate cleanser.
I feel like there's a strong overlap between people who'd be willing to go see him during, like people who are willing to give him a pass and still watch him, and people who are willing to get together during COVID.
Well, also, I thought you were going to say people that like to beat off in front of other people. Like, there's a strong overlap because that's what he did. So the story goes, and I was like reading the New York Times article that came out in 2017. It was, and I never really looked into it that much. I knew that, obviously, like what else do you need to know? Like he used to ask women if he could beat off in front of them, which is weird. And like not after they didn't want to have sex with him, but just that was all he wanted. That's weird. But like I didn't know the timing of it, so I guess what the original the two women that said that he did it, and he admitted to it, so it's not really like, I'm not going to say allegedly and all that, but the two women that he did it to the first time, or the first two that came out, was 2002, and it wasn't. This New York Times article was written in 2017, and I guess there were some rumors about it a little bit before then, but it was a good 15 years that had passed where until this really came out, and then wrecked his career. But he had some other incidents, and like what I remember, like part of the article is like the two, and of course it's I'm not like, it's not like making excuses for it. It's kind of strange, and I wonder if there's some weird thing that happened to him that like that's why he gets off on that, like gets off on having women watch him beat off. But the two original women, like they kind of buried this way down in the article that when it happened, of course they didn't leave. And I guess it was part because they had just gotten maybe a big break or something. I think maybe the comedy show was like Big Break or something like that. And he asked them to go to his room because the hotel bar was closed or something. So they went up there, and I guess he asked them if they minded. So like he asked them if he could. And I guess something like their reaction was like, what? And then he just whipped it out and started beating off. And I guess like deep down, like further down in the article, they say that they were paralyzed, right? Because they're trying to say like, why didn't they just say, get the hell out of here? Let's get out of here. And then, but they also, in like the same paragraph where they said they were paralyzed, they also said that they were holding on to each other and they were laughing and screaming like in shock. And it's like, I don't know if you kind of picture that moment where they were like, oh my God, like, I don't know if they were freaked out, obviously they didn't ask for that.
Right.
But
it was probably not what they expected, but at the same time, how was it different than their expectation?
I don't
expectation of what?
Well, if he asked them, do you want to come back up and let me do this? Watch.
No, he didn't ask them. He didn't like there were other times where he did ask women. I think Manny's about to say that he did ask women like in advance, like on the set, hey, would you mind going back in my room and watch me beat off or something? And they're like, no. Like, but in this case, they were going up, I guess, under the impression they were just gonna have a drink or something and hang out with someone that was, I guess in 2000 and what year did I say? 2002. Was he even that big a deal?
He was still grinding it out.
Was he? Yeah, I guess he was probably, I think, big in club scenes, but this is before his, like, he was like on TV and famous. But I think he was still at that time like hanging out with Seinfeld and Chris Rock, those guys all.
Oh no, he was doing more writing on movies and TV shows during that time.
That's true. Yeah. And I guess he had an agent that was maybe pretty, fairly powerful in the comedy scene. So, they were just wanting to be friends. And, it's like, look at Louis C.K. You don't, and his act, you don't expect him to be like some, maniac masturbator, whatever, exhibitionist, or I don't even know if you'd call it that when it's just, when you only have two people watching. But
I mean, you're still exhibiting in front of.
Yeah. But not in the crowd, like, in the middle of Times Square or something.
I think that's too much pressure on the man, to be honest with you.
That's true. It might take a while, but I guess they stayed and let him finish, and we're pretty freaked out. And I guess they did tell people, like it was verified. They did tell people afterwards, but I don't know. It seems like maybe in that scene, everybody's just like, what? Like,
yeah.
It's one of those things you hear someone say, like, guess what he did, but you're also like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, run them over with your car, or like, tell everybody, and like, protest and stuff. I mean, there's like not a lot of action to take.
Look at him and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah,
Just, like just kind of have it like confront and be like, what the hell is this?
I feel like that would be my reaction, but that as a dude, and be like, dude, what are you fucking doing, man?
Right. You have to
Like
gauge
I'm about to kick you
his
in the head. Yeah.
capabilities.
But with women, I guess it's different, right? I mean, it's kind of
Yeah,
I
if
don't
he's
know.
bigger and stronger and you don't know how he'd react to that confrontation. But if it's
Then-
two of them in there, I feel like two women to one dude.
I think the threat was not necessarily physical because they probably could take him.
Okay, so
but it
then
was more
definitely
like the power of like
It was more of a disrespectful thing to do because that wasn't what was on the table initially, in their minds at least.
the gist of the story was that it was an abuse of power, I guess, because they
Yeah.
were in a
Okay,
position
but
where
you
they
said this
couldn't
was
really.
2002 and he was still like not.
I wouldn't say he was doing open mics.
Were they trying to
like,
get anything out of him career wise? Were they on the comedy scene?
No, I
Okay,
think.
then just I don't understand. Like, why don't you just confront or walk away?
Well, they did.
Who
They
cares?
did. Well,
Then
yeah, I'll
he's
get back to
essentially
that.
a random person.
I think that the abuse of power is that he was, he wasn't famous like TV famous, but he was still very connected. I think he had an agent at the time that, also managed some pretty famous people. Like his agent was like Seinfeld. I shouldn't say that, but that kind of level, like his agent was that kind of
Yeah.
level. So and they had just gotten this show. And if you're a young comic and all you do is open mics and like free shows, actually getting booked to do like a major show like that, that's a big deal. But they did tell people, and I think they said later on, like someone told them to stop talking about it. But before that they had told a bunch of people about it. And I don't know, like, what do you do because it wasn't really a crime, per se, but what do you do with that information? Like if people tell you like, hey, this guy we know that we're not really friends with, but works in this business, did this, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, I don't know. But so weird. He did it a couple more times at least. I think the New York Times article said there were 5 that came out, but it's probably more than 5, and I'll tell you why. Because I guess according to one of the victims, or whatever you want to call it, I think he didn't do it in front of her. He asked her, and she said no. And then when he contacted her, and with a few of these ladies, like he did actually contact them years later, but years before the story came out, to apologize. Like there's a couple of them where he actually contacted them and said, like, either text message or whatever, and said, I'm really sorry, that was wrong, or something like that. But
I didn't know about that bit of information.
yeah, it's kind of, I mean, not everybody's a monster. Like you're either 100% monster or 0% monster. Like we're all a little bit monsterish,
Yep.
But one of the apologies started off, he said to the lady, he reached out to her and texted her something like, hey, I'm sorry I forced you into that bathroom and tried to do that. And she was like, you did something else to me, but that's not what you did. Like, like her story was that he had just stopped her on the set of a show and said, hey, will you come to my dressing room so I can beat off in front of you? So it's like he was trying to apologize for an actual crime. Maybe. Like, anyway, that's pretty creepy. I shouldn't laugh at that, but
me being a dude that's into the ladies, I don't get the attraction to want to do that. Like I don't, how does one get off aside from, actually physically beating out? Like what's the feeling of elation or whatever he gets in by doing that? Or just not just him, just anybody that it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
It is really weird. I'm sure he's not the first and the first or the last dude to try to do that or get off on that. I did try to like search. I don't even know how you search these things on.
Wait. Are you trying to search for other stand-ups or just perverts that beat off in front of people? Because this is a really,
my actual Google search was, is there, I had to think about this because I didn't want to just type in like,
you got to be careful.
like
Yeah.
beat off in front of women. It's awesome. I didn't want to just do that, but I did switch to a private browser mode, and I think I searched,
Smart.
yeah, like, is there a psychological disorder for Louis C.K.'s behavior? I feel like that's That's a good clean search, right? Without like, without tipping off tipping off the Google people to,
And was it successful?
Not really. There was one article where a psychiatrist, like a clinical psychiatrist, the article is Louis C.K. What Happened to You? So it's and he didn't really explore. I mean, you really can't, because you can't really, if you're a legit doctor, you can't, just make up theories unless you're on like, nightly news or something.
Yeah.
And paid to do it, but you can't really just make shit up like that. So the point of his article was like, yeah, we should be asking like, what did you do? Like, why did you do that? But we should also be asking like, what happened to you? Like, what happened to you? Like, what did you see? Like, what happened to you as a child?
Knows off the top of his head.
I think the article says something like, people do this kind of thing and they don't even know, and they hate themselves for it. And there's like a self-loathing there, which, is pretty evident. Like in some of his stand-up, like he's a very self-aware stand-up. He tells a lot of, like dark things about his inner thoughts, and like the clip I showed were funny ones. There's some that are like pretty dark, a lot darker, but yeah, like there's something that's not just I just thought of different ways I could fuck with women. So I decided this will be the one, like, yeah. So that's weird. I don't know. Maybe one of our viewers or listeners, is a psychiatrist and can tell us. If you do, email us, endlessrenters@gmail.com. Yeah.
It's gotten quiet since the black hole discussed. They were into the black hole stuff, and now they're quiet.
They just switched off, went to YouTube. Yeah, they just went down a YouTube wormhole on string theory or Interstellar or Christopher Nolan movies.
Exactly. Well, it's funny since Chris brought up Louis C.K. There was a while there that he was reminding me of one of my favorite comedians because of his work ethic and on how he was just putting out special after special after special, as well as his TV show Louis. One of the first that got me into Mr. George Carlin right here, brain dropping.
Nice. Yep.
And then the other one right here, Napalm and Silly Putty. It's basically like some of it's a collection of his stand-up material, and a lot of the other stuff is just like musings / writings from his personal diary, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, there was a while there before Louis got canceled where he was very, at least to me personally, reminding me a lot of George Carlin, and just how like crazy and on the line, I guess you could say, like the line he would walk with the material that he would talk about. It was just like, dude, this is like the return of Carlin. And then, that whole thing happened.
So you don't have video clips across. You're like, you've got his books, like you've read his comedy books, his writings. That's cool.
Dude, aside from that, I got some of his albums on CD. And then this other book that I read by his daughter, Kelly Carlin. This is a really interesting book. Like it really pulled back the curtain on what it was like growing up with Carlin as her dad. And there was some points where it was just like, damn, that guy had a lot of problems. But at the same time, it was like the fact that he worked through all that and was able to, raise a child, and just, I can't give this book enough praise. Like if anybody that's a fan of standing up comedy or just good books in general.
Carlin Home Companion. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, by Kelly Carlin.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then right here, since we're endless ranters, come on now, got to give it up to the Ace Man. The two that I have.
In 50 years, we'll all be chicks and not talk about material.
Yeah,
I thought it would be too obvious to talk about Adam, but
I know. I just felt like I.
Oh no, but I'm willing to give it a few minutes because I think that he's really coming to his own with the stand-up. I think like he's really worked it out to where I thought, what was it? Maybe was it not Taco Bell material? Was like the one that was released in theater, like he did the theater thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it was a little bit.
I went to the taping of that actually with Lars and a few other assholes. It was an interesting experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I think you remember.
Yeah, and it wasn't
talking
like a
about that.
typical. It wasn't like typical stand up. Like it had such an arc to it.
Yes.
Well, I thought it
I
was
like
kind
that.
of like it was very rehearsed. Right. I
Mhm.
mean, I guess that happens when you do a stand-up special, and but
It reminded me a lot of
yeah. What's that?
it reminded me the way he rehearsed it reminded me a lot of George Carlin and the way he
No,
would
really.
rehearse his material and just like rapid fire it off like it was like
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess, but I've seen Adam live a few times now, and just recently we all were up in Oklahoma City, or you were over in Oklahoma City. I was up in Oklahoma City from where I am, and we saw him live. And I mean, I was just, belly laugh after belly laugh. You just like the crowd work, that's something that wasn't in Not Taco Bell material. Like you couldn't like watch him riff on the crowd, and, he does the unprepared. So it's really like a comedy show that Adam does that includes, it's like a show, it's like a variety show almost, because he does the pulling of the balls for unprepared, and just hearing him riff on all these topics. I mean, we love Adam Carolla, and just the brilliance of his him being able to think of things, and then he'd make fun of the person, whoever's pulling the ball, just
riff on them,
gets made fun of a good bit, and then he does the stand-up stuff, like some of it like kind of topical for where he is, like what part of the country he's in, and he just does stand-up, and it's he's really coming to his own as more of a I don't know, unprepared or unrehearsed, or just kind of comes up with new topics a lot. So
off the cuff.
Yeah, he's not a classic stand-up, but man, he does it. He's great. He's really
something else.
I think he's really upped his game big time I guess he's been doing this for 3 or 4 years now.
When did the stand-up started? 2019? That was his New Year's resolution.
Was it? Okay, it hasn't even been that long. Okay.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. So he did for a year, then COVID hit.
Yeah, plus he was doing like the live shows where he wasn't doing as many, well, not that I know, I don't know what he's doing all the time, but he was doing more of the on his own, where it wasn't the live podcast, it was just him. Right.
Yeah. That's I think 2019 is when he started the unprepared.
So it might have been 2018 where you started heading out to clubs more often.
2018?
I think so.
Okay.
Don't quote me.
I thought 2018 was the one where he was going to dress for success. That was some years.
Yeah. And it only lasted for a few days or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a tough bit to top, because wasn't his first New Year's resolution that he declared was everybody else get their shit together. Brilliant. Yeah. No, he did top the next one was equally good, which was I'm going to demand more for my deodorant. That's fucking brilliant. And then that's hard to it's hard to keep up at that level. Those were two great ones. So any Adam Carolla fan has definitely stolen the everyone else has to get their shit together.
I personally demand more from everybody else's deodorant, because some people out there just offend my senses. And
yes, that's good. But that's great on so many levels. So
all right,
love Adam. Yeah, so George Carlin,
another good read right here. Satiristas, basically. Comedians, contrarians, raconteurs, and vulgarians. It's basically Paul Provenza interviews a bunch of those, and I'm a comedy nerd, if you can't tell. So anything comedy related, I like to read and digest and add to my knowledge. Another one that I found, which is really fucking cool, was this SCTV book written by Dave Thomas himself. And the way this was
Dave Thomas.
Wait,
okay.
Dave Thomas was not the guy, not KFC.
Not Wendy's, no.
Not Wendy's. That's
that guy was hilarious.
Every time I think of comedy, I instantly think back to the Wendy's and the fricker.
All that hilarious square beef patty humor, and Where's the Beef was pretty good.
All the Frosty talk too, man. The Frosty humor kills.
So this is Dave Thomas. The only thing I remember him from was Grace Under Fire. So he was actually
really.
Yeah, what else? What was he known for? That's
Grace Under
all.
Fire.
I didn't know about Grace Under Fire, but I know
That was a Brett Butler, not the pitcher. Female, blonde, white, trashy.
No, I know who you're talking
singing.
about. She showed up on one of the Walking Dead shows, and it was like barely recognizable from.
Really?
Yeah, she was a character on Walking Dead, and I was like, what? Like, where do I know this lady from? And yeah, that was okay. That was Grace Under Fire.
That's crazy.
I know Dave Thomas from holy crap. Strange Brew. Strange Brew.
They talk about that in this book too. They talk about
that was one of my first watch a million times videos. Like me and my buddy would watch Strange Brew over and over with him and Rick Moranis. So
that's sick, man.
So SCTV, that was like his story of when on that show.
Yeah, the inception, the rise, the fall, and it's pretty dope because it's like he wrote the overall arc of SCTV story, and he would interview everyone else that was associated with writers, producers, makeup artists, the stars themselves, and he would weave in their corroboration of where the story, and they would just go from there to the next to the next.
Okay.
There's one part in this book that really fucked me up is when John Candy, when he found out that Belushi had died, like there was just this weird, like the tone in the book kind of took a weird turn. But for any fans of just like, you know, comedy in general, this is a great fucking read.
So SCTV, man, I feel inferior because I don't like to read. Like you're reading, like you're enjoying your comedy on television, and you're also reading your comedy. Like who do you think you are, Manny? Anyway,
I'm just the inquisitive mole. That's all that I am.
I love it. I'm just kidding. So SCTV was happening at the same time as Saturday Night Live, or was a precursor to it? Like what?
They were both happening around SNL hit first, then SCTV followed shortly after.
Okay.
What does SCTV stand for?
Second City Television, the Second City, the improv school, whatever the fuck.
Was it out of Chicago? Is that why it was called Second City? Or
I believe so. Yeah.
Am I making that up? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I was at the wrong age for those things. First of all, I wasn't allowed to watch SNL. Like I was forbidden from watching Saturday Night Live. Like,
dude, I didn't find out about SNL until I was in my teens, man.
I was probably pretty close to being a teen when
I was such a rube.
When my parents were just like, "All right, we give up trying to stop you from watching."
Okay.
But they used to play SNL reruns, like after school TV. This sounds weird, but no, they did like they would play SNL. Not reruns, but like recaps or best ofs or something. Okay. Yeah, like it was like a 30 or 60-minute show that would be on at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a UHF channel. And I remember getting caught watching it. You know, there was no recording it. You know, didn't have a VCR at that point, but I feel like I was either not allowed or I just like didn't. I was too young, like, to understand like the sketch comedy stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's what SCTV mostly was. SNL was more like mainstream, like Chevy Chase bits of falling down or that kind of stuff. So it was kind of like, it was maybe more mainstream funny. But speaking like a lot of like the pure improv sketch stuff was like, I didn't really get at that age. It was just, you know, I'll go outside and play or something. I don't know.
Like the other thing that I like about where I work is that I find like this SCTV book, I find some other cool things like this SNL Best of Chris Farley.
Oh wow.
Speaking of SNL, it's still shrink wrapped. I haven't opened it. I'm gonna open it and rewatch it again someday. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, like the mid 90s SNL is like peak, just like so many funny characters and bits and
yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever get back to that.
No, not these days. So, okay, Monkey's uncle is asking if we are familiar with the show Fridays, which was a sketch TV as well, or Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall, yes. Never Fridays.
I've never. Yeah,
Fridays. No, I don't think so. Kids in the Hall, I remember, but I don't know. For some reason, I think it may have been Canadian or something, which was a no-go.
I'm crushing my head.
Was that Kids in the Hall?
Yeah, I think so. It was just this dude that would hide behind the bushes, and like he was like camera was set up in a way that like the perspective was just like he's crushing people's heads as they walk out.
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
The dumbest thing.
I kind of remember. I can imagine that now. I can imagine that, like that white dude, the white guy that would do it. I wonder where he ended up, but yeah, I don't know what was wrong with me. I just like that kind of stuff. Just I don't know.
There was also a lot of like
Didn't hit
weird,
me.
well, not weird, but just like under the radar sketch shows, like The Human Giant. That one had like Brian Posehn and Aziz Ansari. They had a lot of funny shit in that one. And then there was another one where it had like Joel Trujillo and a bunch of people from Reno 911 on it as well that came out on MTV. I'm spacing on fucking name.
Reno 911. I didn't watch it throughout its show, but it was damn fun. Like when it first came out, it was kind of new, or to me at least. It was funny. And then Ben Stiller had a
was it the Ben Stiller show?
I guess so. He had like a sketch comedy show. I think Janine Garofalo was on there as well. Like was like a major player on that show. And I remember a couple skits. Like it didn't last long either, but there were a couple skits on there that were hilarious. I shouldn't even try to describe it. I might try to find it later, but
quick highlight, or to touch back on Fridays, it was on from April 11th, 1980 to April 23rd, 1982. So only 2 years.
Oh shit, I was like 8
Monkey's
and
Uncle
10
must
years
be a little
old.
older.
Oh no, 3 seasons.
All right, we're narrowing it down.
Yeah, it's on Pluto TV, Sling, and Tubi if anybody wants to watch them.
Okay, so Monkey's Uncle's
got his start.
Fridays. Was Michael Richards? Okay.
Cool. Oh shit, the Michael Richards? Holy shit.
Kramer, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, T-Bone. Yeah, it's too bad he couldn't like he robbed us of Michael Richards, by like, calling some, just really calling some dude an N-bomb. Like that was that was pretty fucked up. That was
rough.
That was a bad career move. Yeah. But yeah, the sketch comedy shows, I don't know, maybe didn't really get them that much. I remember when I was doing comedy school or comedy classes, there were also improv classes, and the people in the comedy, like the stand-up classes, were like, oh man, I wish I could do improv, and like, I just can't imagine doing that. And then the people that were in the improv would be like, I wish I could do stand-up, but I just can't imagine doing that, like being up there by themselves or something. But it's kind of a weird thing.
It's just this weird hurdle that you just got to get over.
Yeah, I feel like if I was like in an improv troupe, I don't ever want to be in a troupe of any kind, but if I was, like, that you could fuck things up, you know what I mean? Like it would turn to you and you'd be like, you just do it all wrong. Yeah.
I dabbled in both and I preferred stand-up.
Whoa. What was the name of your improv troupe, Jane?
Oh no, I took improv at Second City when I lived in Chicago.
Okay.
Did you do it like when you were doing the stand-up classes, or was this a totally separate period?
It was separate. Yeah.
Okay.
What possessed you to?
I mean, because I live nearby and it's legendary, and they do a lot of. I felt like everyone I met was like, "Oh, I took improv classes at one point." Like everyone who was in that area.
Where did you take it?
Fun.
Did you say you took it at Second City?
Yeah.
But then earlier you were asking what SCTV stood for.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was surprised I hadn't heard of it.
I guess, they don't necessarily sound alike. I guess if at Second, they probably don't have an SCTV sign in the front. It probably just says Second City. Or Second City, with a building.
They don't lead with that, apparently.
Yeah.
So why'd you prefer stand-up to improv?
I think in general, and if you look at the sports I played growing up, I was always.
Which sports did you play? Learning so much about you right now.
I guess I did a little of a lot.
Field hockey?
Swimming. No, I did. Okay. Swimming, ice skating, gymnastics. I did some volleyball and I played softball. I did some t-ball, and then I was an adult. I did softball.
Women's lacrosse. Women's lacrosse.
There's no lacrosse on the West Coast.
There is.
Oh, really?
Not when I was in high school. Like our high schools didn't have teams.
I don't know how,
Um,
but one of my classmates got into lacrosse. It was weird because our school
I had
didn't have
never
a
heard of
team.
it until I went to college on the East Coast. 'cause
There's no
Really?
lacrosse in Texas. There's no lacrosse in Texas at all. But I grew up in Baltimore, and like the high school I went to was everything was lacrosse. I didn't play
Yeah.
lacrosse at all, but
I'm
like,
not surprised to hear that.
yeah.
And just in general, so I think I'm better at the individual sports than the team sports where you have to like read, I'd rather just react to my own body than have to
Okay.
react to
Everything else around
people,
you.
object. Like even tennis would be I don't know. I took some tennis lessons, but I never actually like played, but that's kind of in between.
Wait, I have
Go
to
ahead.
know, what position did you play in volleyball?
Oh gosh, it was so long ago.
Don't you rotate
Well,
in volleyball?
yeah, you rotate. Like
Yeah,
you have to play one in the back and one in the front.
but the team
Um,
still has like set
Or
I
you
was
positions.
just
you rotate who
yeah, I wasn't a
serves, but you
setter. I
don't
wasn't
have
a
to like, you don't
setter.
physically have to like move. Okay.
And I was
yeah.
not I was not a tall position.
Okay. Just trying to picture Janie on the volleyball court is all.
No, I was not cut out for it. I just did
Women's
JV.
volleyball is entertaining.
You don't
Why?
say, Chris.
As
What's
opposed
so
to
funny?
Ben's because of spandex shorts.
Yeah, I like
Or do the
women's
knee pads turn
volleyball
you
so much
on?
better. I think they're so much better at it.
Interesting.
Just yeah.
So wait,
Skills.
did you take the improv class first or then stand up or how?
Yeah, I did improv first. And then I did stand up. I don't know, stand up was a lot more intimate too. I felt like I got to know the class.
Mhm.
And improv, which you would think because you're all working together, that you would get to know each other, but I don't know, it was just very, the other people in my groups I did 3 sessions. They're just very millennial. I don't know. I just didn't
Yeah,
like they
like
clicked with each
there's
other and I felt a little like this click. Everyone talked about how they like bonded with their improv. And I felt a little out, but maybe it was just my life in general. I felt a little checked out. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's comedians that do both and do it well. I mean, Adam Carolla, like he always talks about it improv. Like I feel like I'm just not the kind of person that would flock to be in an improv troupe and like be like, let's pretend we're in a box, or I mean, and it's like it sounds really derogatory, but man, I guess I just don't. Yeah, I don't know about all that. I don't
We
know.
get it.
I
You
like
lack
stand up.
imagination.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I like imagination. I like to take my time. I don't like to be put on the spot,
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I like to be able to think it through, and you get to do that with your stand up. So
Yeah, for sure.
Well, since you gravitated more towards stand up, Janie, what are some of your favorite comedians?
So my goat is Joan Rivers, R.I.P. Both my choices are dead. I'm so sad Joan Rivers is just not here in this era because I think she'd be just a breath of fresh air. And I've got a couple.
Oh man, she'd have been I think she would have been canceled. Like,
no, she's too good. She's like Adam.
Yeah.
She can be canceled. She does her own thing.
She wouldn't let herself be
She's a
canceled.
legend. She was too legendary to be canceled. That's the
I
thing.
mean, Jane, did you see her office where she would write her material? It's like nothing but file boxes.
Oh my gosh.
Ceiling to floor of just material.
She was a workaholic. She never stopped working. She was in her 80s. She was still going. I have a clip here.
Okay, let's see
about
it.
her and political correctness. Yeah.
How old was she? Like this, like political correctness is I guess it's been around for a while.
Video, well, she died in 2014. I think it's probably from earlier that decade.
Okay.
What do you think are the special challenges facing a young woman starting a business? And what is the best piece of advice you can give to a young woman starting a business?
Joan, do you want to answer?
Yeah, forget young woman. If you've got it, you've got it. Don't say as a woman. Just do it. Screw him. You're smarter, you're better, you're brighter. Go for it. I can't stand political correctness. I think, is one of the reasons that the society is just falling to pieces. We're all so terrified to say anything. Everyone is pulling the race card. You know, whether I'm a woman and you touch me, oh, calm down. And that's why you fired me. We fired you because you're stupid. That's why we fired. You know,
even with your fashion critiquing, while it's very mean in some ways, people can't wait to hear what you have to say. Really?
It's not mean. You can. It's not mean. I tell the truth. I'm sure I say the same things that all your viewers say to their friends sitting next to them on the couch.
That's right, you phony POS there.
Shows that said, that's an ugly dress, and that's okay. These ladies make $28 million a picture. You really think that Nicki Minaj cares? I didn't like her dress. You know, when you're in that kind of a bracket, you don't really care.
Yeah, you're not really worried about feelings being hurt.
Well, not when it's about dresses. It's not about them. It's about clothing.
I mean, do you feel like there are boundaries ever? You know, even if it makes people uncomfortable or offend people, or what?
Life is very tough, and if you can make a joke to make something easier and funny, do it.
Thank you.
Done. Do it. That's all. But Darlene, I don't know what your life has been like, but I have a lot of people who've gone through hell. And if you can make, Winston Churchill said, if you make someone laugh, you give them a little vacation. And maybe you take the worst thing in the world and make it funny. It's a vacation for a minute from horror.
Yeah, and people love to laugh. I mean, clearly that's why people love
Oh,
you.
yes.
But they also know that you know, you have some shock value to you. I mean, on the cover of your book, you're wearing a fur, and you knew that there would probably be animal rights activists.
You know,
I love how she handles
interview
this.
is becoming a defensive interview.
No!
Are you wearing leather shoes?
Yes,
shut
no,
up.
I'm talking.
Yeah, seriously.
You're eating chicken.
Yeah.
You're eating meat. I don't want to hear this nonsense. Come to me with a paper belt, and I'll talk to you.
Do you feel any taboo subjects
Yeah, paper
inside you?
belt?
Do you feel not like having to talk about?
I don't get that term.
If I could talk about.
I will give it to Frederica though
Right.
for just having that permanent freaking phony smile on her face the entire time, and then she says that in that gem, like, but people love to laugh. Okay, thanks, you insightful twit.
And she touched on something that is something that I hold very close to, or just live by, is just like the world isn't like life isn't politically correct, man. So this whole
Yeah,
forcing PC around
Yeah.
around to like be like a way to live by, it's just like, yeah, I get what you're doing, but
you know what? I think you know what, that kind of that video montage kind of bumped me a little bit because of her appearance, and not because she looked bad. She actually looked a lot better than what I remember, because what I remembered, like, in my in my brain, I was like thinking about like the image I have of Joan Rivers was her like 20 years before that on Johnny Carson, where she actually looked like a lot older. Right, she looked very young, and like, you know, and obviously a lot of plastic surgery and all that, but like I had a different image in my mind of her. So yeah, I mean, she looked great. So
I can find that.
yeah, I can't believe, yeah, that's yeah.
And who's your other dead comedian, Jane?
Wait, hold on. I want to see if this is what you're thinking of. Yeah, she looks really different. She did well with her plastic surgery.
You should ask who her doctor was,
I know, right?
or hit up Melissa, be like, hey, can you give me a referral to your mom's doctor?
Well,
Okay.
plus also I seeing her like on, yeah, like this is also back when TV was really bad.
Yeah, because you
So beautifully. Oh,
She does.
I hope she's not happy. It's just
You have a calendar like this out?
not. Well, I tried, but unfortunately, just 1 month.
They said forget the rest of the year, huh?
Yeah, interesting.
You know what I'm saying though? Like,
That's
she
a great
seemed
place
like
to pause it at, by the way.
the TV was so grainy at that point too that everybody looked older. than
Oh my
they
God.
really
I don't want
were,
to stop
so.
sharing that. Well, you can kind of see here. There's another look where she's And then here's more recent. And
She parted her.
she kind
I
of
don't know.
filled out her face. That's it. Yeah, that's what, they say women, especially if they're on camera, have to choose eventually between their face or their body. So, because it depends where you put on your weight. Like I knew a girl that in Chicago that was rail thin, and I kind of looked at her like, oh, she have a eating disorder, but she was a print model. And I looked at her face and I was like, aha, if she puts on any weight, it all goes to her face and she wouldn't look right.
Okay.
I was like, that's why she's rail thin. Just like Adam talks about that with Juliana Rancic. She's the ETV. She's married to Bill Rancic.
Yeah.
Had a reality show.
Yep.
Anyway, she's also rail thin, but her cheeks are puffy. And so she has to keep her weight down so her face doesn't get any bigger.
Interesting.
But then some women look bad when they're that thin. So they have to keep their bodies a little heavier in order for their face to look right.
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't as a woman. Sounds
It's unfair. It's totally unfair.
Yeah.
Or maybe
maybe
that's just how it works. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever happened to her daughter, Melissa Rivers? Like I remember there was some controversy, and now she's pretty much disappeared. Like she's
canceled. I didn't look that up.
The sins of the mother live on through her.
Up until the end of Joan's life, they were doing that red carpet show.
Yeah.
Together that they talked about on the interview.
And then maybe she partnered up with someone new, and then it just all fell apart.
Yeah.
But I think Joan Rivers used to write for men comedian or or male comedians too.
That's the thing. Yeah, she's so upfront and confrontational, and she's very just doesn't care about any of that being, whatever, a female in a men's world. And she just did her thing and she just kept going. Like she was just like her own person. I love it. I feel like if she's a better version of me.
That's unfortunately. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. No, I feel bad because maybe I didn't appreciate her in her time. I should have. Yeah, especially with everything going on today.
She's been around like back in the day. She's been around since like the 60s.
Yeah. I bet she got groped a lot. You know what I mean?
She probably slapped them away.
Probably, but I'm saying like she probably
tables on them and started groping them.
Yeah.
She doesn't put up with crap. She has that vibe to her.
Yeah.
I bet even the men didn't even try. By the way, for those watching on YouTube, I think I smeared my mascara, and that's why I look like I have a black eye. It's getting worse. All right.
You're just covering up for Chris and the fact that he had to repeat himself.
Now, just if I get down here, it just looks like one side has eyeshadow on or something. Whatever. Okay.
Right.
Well, on the screen, you're very well. The way I have my Zoom set up, we're all very small, so like a little strip at the top, so I can't see so well. But thanks for pointing it out because now I'm fixated on it.
On your handiwork.
Go and fix it. No, I'm just kidding. You had another one, Jane? Or did Manny? You were about to say something? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
I'm just handing it back to Jane.
Yeah, my other one is a really obscure deep dive, but so influenced by the fact that I recently got a piano here, as you can see. Oh, I just lost my monitor.
Cool.
So his name's Victor Borge, and he is a Danish pianist comedian. So he was in his act, he would incorporate playing the piano. I've got a little bit here. It's a little difficult to find a good clip because he's so visual. He's a physical comedian too. And that doesn't translate well if you're listening on a pod. But this one is called Victor Borge and the Opera Singer. And so basically the setup is he's at a piano. They're on stage. He's at a piano. And this opera singer in this beautiful like white gown with like the 3/4 sleeves, and she's got her hair in an updo. So very classy. He's in a tux.
We need more comedians in tuxes, by the way.
Yeah. So all All right, here we go. Oh, shoot.
Oh, are you playing a video
Instagram.
or is it all audio?
It's audio.
Okay.
But it's a commercial.
Because he's really old, right?
He's old, so it might be a little scruffy, but. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm
Yeah, you're not
sorry.
hearing it.
This
That's
isn't the right
okay.
one. Oh,
Oh boy. Didn't we
I'm
talk about
sorry. I thought
this?
Little technical difficulties here, people.
I think it like went.
Yeah, the
Oh,
difficulties of
I'm
like
sorry. We
when
talked about this
videos
beforehand,
rotate
too.
on a web page or something.
How do I
so
stop sharing?
You're
Am I
not sharing.
sharing?
You're
No.
not really sharing.
Oh, I'm
I
not
think if-
sharing.
No.
I think if you just play music, if you just play audio, then it just plays
Yeah.
like the same as your maybe like cuts out your voice a little bit.
Remember,
but,
you got to check that box when you go to share video.
but it's not a video. She
No,
wasn't
no, no,
sharing a
it's
video.
fine. thought I was sharing. Okay. Now
Oh, you're
I'm
trying to share a screen? Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go.
What have you decided, Mary?
Yes, tonight I'd like to sing the Caro Nome from Rigoletto.
Oh, God.
It's like, not this piece.
That's gone. I just bought some.
Thank you. Hands off, please. Hands off. Mary will sing the Kaganomi from the opera Rigor Mortis. By all means.
Great timing.
Giuseppe Verdi.
Why? I mean, yes. Why, yes, indeed. Giuseppe Verdi. Joe Green to you.
What did he say?
Joe Green to you.
Oh.
It's like the
Oh, okay.
translation.
Okay. Got it.
Verdi's.
Probably. Pardon? Of course not. Oh. She says, don't hum along. Why should I hum along? I mean, hands off, please.
Volume went down.
That's a very good habit because sometimes there might not be a piano next to you. So you wind up on the floor. I mean, player. Just remember that. Ready? Okay, sister, here we go.
That's good. Where did you discover? How in the world did you
My mom had a
discover?
VHS of him we watched.
All right, that's good stuff.
You know what that brand of humor reminds me of a lot of is Andy Kaufman. I bet you he was a huge fan of Victor Borga.
Oh.
Yeah, like a couple degrees of more crazy with Kaufman, but yeah, like I don't know how to describe that. Doing a lot with a little, like the
Yeah,
timing and
just the right amount of like what is it? Roasting too on his behalf that he'd be doing towards his
yeah,
company.
yeah. I don't know how to describe that, but
Ribbing, light ribbing.
yeah, like I don't know if you could pull that off today, maybe.
You can.
Yeah, I guess you could, but back then, obviously, yeah, without dropping F-bombs and yeah. I bet he never invited women to his room to beat off in front of him.
We don't know that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You probably to be like, you didn't just don't touch the piano, please.
That was good.
Yeah, Victor.
So your
Borge,
mom,
yeah, right.
Yeah, well, my mom knew. I don't know how my mom knew about him, but
well, he's a
she had a
contemporary
VHS
comic.
tape that we watched, and he's got other. I encourage you to like YouTube other ones. He's got one with like he gets a page turner to come on stage, and he like messes with the page turner.
Yeah,
for sure.
Where he's got a duet bit. You got a guy he does a duet with, and they just like switch places. But he's an amazing pianist. Like he didn't. That was sort of light on the piano for him, but he is a master.
Yeah.
So to like do that and like play incredible piano and do a comedy bit, like
that is
takes skill.
That's a special category. Made me think of I was actually almost going to mention Bo Burnham, right? Like Bo Burnham. I forget what his Netflix special was.
His recent one or previous?
I don't think it was his most recent, but you know, he does like he's a musician, you know, and so he can play the piano really well and sings and writes songs and all this stuff. Just I wouldn't even know how to describe it, and I wouldn't even know like what clip to play, but it's just like really.
We'd be doing the man's work a disservice. Is something that you just have to go out and watch on your own.
Yeah,
experience it.
I'm gonna at least find the title of it, but shoot, yeah, I'll find the title of it, but maybe Andy Kaufman-esque kind of, just like very weird, really weird, does a lot of like different sound effects, and the whole thing is like, I wouldn't even say it's overproduced, it's highly produced, but in like an incredibly skilled way, because he's got all kinds of lighting effects and things that must be like, maybe he has an assistant doing those things, or he is like, he's got this thing down to the second, like when the lights change and different music and smoke comes out or whatever, like
all these cues.
Yeah, like really, yeah, really amazing. I'm gonna at least find it.
Any other?
Yeah. There's others that do that, right? Like play a guitar.
I mean, well, first actor, comedian, I don't know what you want to call him. What's his face? Robinson from The Office and all those Judd Apatow movies.
Craig Robinson.
There you go. Yeah, he does a lot of the piano and crowd work type shit too.
Oh, does he really? I didn't know that.
Flight of the Conchords, they did the whole duo guitar playing shit. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We were doing Tenacious D last week. They're more music than comedy, but you know, obviously.
Well, no, actually, Flight of the Conchords and Tenacious D, they're both similar brand of like what they do as far as like sketches and two dudes and whatnot.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that about Craig Robinson. He does do like the Dunder Mifflin theme song. I think he plays the keyboard during the Dunder Mifflin theme song in The Office.
Yeah.
So I guess that's right. I've seen him play the piano and sing before.
Any other nominees, Jane, before we move on to your news?
That's all I got those are the two I wanted to share.
Oh, the special.
I've got others I love, but I didn't want to,
You didn't want
take up the entire.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha.
The special is called Make Happy. Bo Burnham, Make Happy. It was on Netflix. I don't know. I haven't seen it for a few years on there, but yeah, Bo Burnham, Burnham, Make Happy. Like
Right on.
pretty, I think once you start watching it, you're just like, what the fuck? And it's like hilarious and it's very I don't know, maybe takes hold of you maybe in a way. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're just like, what's next? Like it's just like your senses are being bombarded with funny music, comedy,
It's an
visual
overload.
stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah. But you can't, yeah, it's good stuff.
Good for multiple watchings.
And he's an equal, like he makes fun of everybody, like I think in some ways makes fun of both political sides, all kinds of music, people that take themselves too seriously, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
good stuff. Well, it's good to kind of get your favorite comedians out there and learn a little bit more about our co-hosts.
Yeah.
Right.
On
I mean,
memory.
I'm a little surprised to hear that Jane did stand up and improv. We already knew that Chris did his time in front of a microphone, so bit of
I
a
thought
eye
about it at
opening.
some point.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah,
Maybe in the past.
briefly, yeah. But it was just interesting hearing Jane's soiree into that world.
Yep.
I recommend it for everybody, just because it's 99.9% of stand-up comedians probably that try out suck. So it's like you're not if you take a comedy class, like there's a pretty good chance like you're going to be on equal level with all your classmates. So you're not gonna like join a class with like 8 other people and they're all going to be fucking awesome and you're going to be terrible. Like
Exactly.
there's probably gonna be a pretty mix of mediocrity in there and like I thought it was like the class was kind of everybody was. This is a beginner's class that I took 2 levels, but the beginner's class, like everybody was kind of doing it for therapy almost, or like as a almost like a dare to themselves, like a challenge to themselves. So yeah, I recommend it as a good therapeutic exercise.
Absolutely.
So Jane's got news.
I've got news.
Hit us with it, Jane.
Yeah. So, in what I'm going to deem the bad news, although Chris, you might disagree. I think we were talking about this. So, countering all the political incorrectness that comedians have talked about, comedy writer Mike Schur, who wrote for The Office and then he went on to create Parks and Recreation, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place. So
He's
very
Moe's.
successful, prolific writer and creator, and he's come out criticizing comics who complain about political correctness and cancel culture and how it strangles comedy and free speech. He says those people are bad at comedy. They're lazy. They've been doing comedy a certain way for a long time, and they've got an hour-long set that they perform at stand-up clubs, or they've got a certain way they write scripts, and they're too lazy to write something new. That's all it is. It's never been easier to be a comedy writer in America. There's more comedy being made and more good comedy being made. And if you have that attitude, it's because you're lazy and you want to keep using the N-word or whatever in your act, and you don't like it that people are saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. You should quit and get a job at the grocery store or something because we don't need you anymore. Go away. So he's kind of known for he created characters like Ron Swanson and
Yes.
Genius.
Michael Scott, like very interesting nuanced character.
Dwight Schrute.
And he prides himself on his characters never punching down in comedy. So
I tried to say like he's Moe's, like if for fans of The Office, he's Dwight Schrute's cousin Moe's.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Who I don't think he ever speaks a word, maybe.
Yeah, he's that weirdo that's on the farm, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, and like runs.
Farm.
Yeah, runs with his hands at his side.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So
I like that the writer's talking up about that type of shit too. Michael.
Yeah, so he went on to say the worst thing I could ever be accused of is punching down because I really hate that. It's an abhorrent human instinct. Punching down is easy. Gravity is helping your fist move faster. To me, it's the biggest sin in the world. Punching down is what bullies do. So if you're engaging in that in comedy or writing or anything, you're just being a bully. I don't know. I get that it's sort of to me like clean comedy. So I respect comics that don't do profanity, that don't do the sex jokes, because I think it's harder. I think it sort of alludes to the same thing. It's harder to avoid punching down. but I don't want to be this angry about it. This is a little.
I didn't. Okay, this is an interesting thing because you shared this story with me last night, and I think when you sent me the article, like the link in Messenger, right? Like you see his face, and you're just like, oh, that's Mose, and then that's Mose, the guy from The Office. So first, my first instinct was like, oh, I like this guy because he's Mose, right? And then I think early on it tells you that he was the guy that made Ron Swanson and Dwight Schrute, and it's like, oh, now I really like this guy. So then when he said what he said, like in the article, like you read it like aggressively.
I did.
I kind of took it as like, oh, the guy that like we should listen to the guy that created these characters because they're genius characters. So I kind of took it a different way. I don't know. I wasn't like
I understand the sentiment. I just think he's a little too superior. He's feeling a little too superior for it.
Well, yeah, the way you read it.
He's also backed up. Like he does have really great characters. So.
The way you read it, you're like wagging your finger.
I mean, settle. I mean, the worst thing. Okay, even if I'm not putting
the worst thing
behind the worst thing that I could ever be accused of, it's the biggest sin in the world. Like really,
not being funny would probably be the worst thing technically as a stand-up. Like that'd be like the worst thing you could say about somebody.
True.
But I do, the sentiment is, again, like he wrote these characters that were like ultra conservative or like kind of like the, I don't know, like the evil guy, like the antagonists kind of, but also like
was conservative. Like
he was, Ron Swanson was like ultra conservative,
but it was shed in a positive light.
Right. He would say things that were ultra conservative, but also the character was written in a way where you loved the guy, like, because it was really sincere, but he was also like, like do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that because if you're a liberal, like kind of a liberal these days and you write a conservative character, like the easiest thing to do, I think Manny's about to say, is like make him out to just be a dickhead all the time. And it's like,
yep.
Yeah. Like, so I don't know. I kind of, when I was reading that article and like reading through that, I was like, in my head, I was hearing it as like at a much softer tone, I guess. But yeah, I mean,
I want to see him write a special needs character.
He'd probably consider that punching down. I don't know.
But okay, he could have. He could do it in a way that's not punching down.
Well,
I bet he.
Well, he was Mose.
Way to make it funny but sincere.
I'm curious, since we're talking about this, and Chris, you're a fan of South Park, right? Safe to assume.
Yeah, I watched it very early. I really enjoyed the South Park movie when it came out, but I haven't really watched since. It's been a long time, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate South Park very much, and Team America: World Police by those two guys was. I own that movie.
It's great, but I bring it up because there's a character in that show, Jimmy, the crippled kid. And you would think that, they're making light or punching down on Jimmy, but I feel like they're really more championing and celebrating a kid that's disabled, and like they're really portray him in a way that they'll make fun of him every now and again with the way that he stutters or has a difficulty delivering his lines. But for the most part, I think that some people could see their portrayal of him as like, in poor taste or whatnot. But I think it's quite the opposite. It's just like they're taking what would be, problematic and flipping it on its ear. And it's like, that's a great example.
Yeah, I totally
agree.
Is
a great example. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I think how Mike Schur would handle a special needs case.
Yeah.
And then wasn't there an episode where Jimmy, he writes for the paper and he says something that they want to cancel him, but then it's like they're canceling the cripple kid. So I forget the exact details, but it was.
Plus, in South Park, a lot of the other characters are pretty horrible. So
it is true by comparison.
By making the cripple kid decent, like a decent human, it's kind of very complimentary. Yeah.
Good times.
But yeah, I don't know. I like a lot of humor, and like I think that just about everything can be funny, but yeah, I guess there's certain things like, I don't know if you guys can think of any like certain people, subjects, whatever that you feel like are funny, but I wouldn't do it. Like I don't like it would feel kind of cheap or too easy
Oh,
to make fun of. I don't know.
I don't know. It's no shade on George Lopez and the success that that guy's amassed, but some of his stand-up specials that I watch, it's just like I feel like it relies or falls back too heavily on like the Hispanic experience, and I don't want to besmirch or talk or just like overlook my people, but like I feel like he uses that as a crutch instead of like pushing the boundary of what he should be doing as a stand-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen him, but like, does he use like kind of like rely on like kind of tropes or
Turns of
like,
phrases,
okay.
catchphrases in Spanish, or just shit that people that grew up Hispanic would understand. Whereas just like,
Yeah.
well, instead of just doing like 5 minutes,
Seems like low hanging fruit.
yeah. And it's just like, nah. If he carved out his lane for him, good for him. But that shit like that, it's like nothing.
I would like to hear from
Yeah.
this guy, Mike Sure, like what would be like an example of punching down? I don't know. To him,
Well,
what
I
would,
mean,
what
in
would
his,
that
I mean,
be?
the one
Like,
was like using the N word over and over, but
Yeah.
it's like that's like really far in that direction.
that was a weird
So I don't know.
that was a weird example to bring up because like, are there a lot of comics out there, like white comics that use the N word a lot? Like, I don't know.
Well, just take it back to Michael Richards. I mean, he used it once in a very unfortunate way.
Well, I think he used it repeatedly in
Yeah.
well, he wasn't like doing a bit on like, hey, my N word or whatever. He was like really angry at some black dude in the and like up in the balcony and was like trying to hurt the guy, by saying something,
Actually, to take it back to Louis C.K. at the top, there was one specific bit in where he did drop the N-bomb, like very.
That sounds.
It was about a barista at Starbucks making his coffee, and he just wedged the N-word in there somewhere. It's like, I personally don't want to, answer the question, so I'll just share the link later. But it was a bit. I don't want to say jarring, but I just didn't imagine the joke taking that turn so drastically. It was like, whoa, okay.
That sounds vaguely familiar. Like I can kind of picture him doing that in my head. But I don't know. Maybe he was talking about some black comics. I don't know, because they're like every black comic, uses the N word now. It's just a very colloquial term for them. Whatever. Right. It's such a weird word.
It is very problematic word.
Problematic, yeah. It's the whitest way to put that.
Yeah,
for sure.
But then, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say on that topic of like political correctness, or like having like are comics lazy that complain about that, because as a comic you do need to be like really creative, relevant. Like you can't do the same bits, like, and let's say that you do use like a negative stereotype trope in your routine, or you have been since the 80s, and then everybody's like, you can't fucking do that anymore. Like, okay, you can argue that you shouldn't be able to tell comics what to talk about, but like if you want to fill an arena, like, can you create something without doing that? Can you create something new and funny and relevant without relying on that? Like, there's kind of a
therein lies the art form.
He's kind of right in that. Like this Mike Sure guy's kind of right in that, I guess. Like it's really sad to see comics. Like I get it. Like it's kind of sad to see comics complain too much about political correctness, because if there wasn't political correctness, like there is no
there's no fight.
What's shit? Who was the guy that like the white guy, probably before George Carlin, who would
Lenny Bruce.
Yeah, like if there's no political correctness, then there's no Lenny Bruce.
I remember reading a tweet or a post or some shit a few weeks ago. It's like, Lenny Bruce didn't overdose on heroin for comedy to take the hit it's taking now. It's like, God damn, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking like
I I don't think it's something they should complain about in their act, but in interviews or in tweets, I think it's fine to be up in arms about the general state of things. And
Yeah.
But yeah, their comedy shouldn't be just offensive for the sake of being offensive and punching down.
Yeah, like, and you know, I mean, there's kind of like a thing where, you know, the customer is always right. Like if you've got like an average size crowd of a few hundred people and they are not laughing, then you're, you know, you really can't blame political correctness on that. Like your job is to like read the room or
That's right.
look for a different audience or come up with some new material that's funny to you know, this crowd. So
well, that kind of segues into my next item.
Yes.
So I actually found an article from, this is more of a essay from Scientific American about what makes us laugh, like the science behind comedy.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love this subject.
Yeah, and like, you know, they kind of go into the history that I'll briefly touch on. So, you know, theories began a couple thousand years ago. The Greek philosophers, they were like,
Your audio, hold
earlier, people
Hold
find
on.
humor earlier.
back up like
Audio bad?
Yeah.
just
there-
for
Why
a
does
few
that happen
seconds.
when I do the news? Okay, we'll give it a second here.
Start up again from the top.
Am I better now then?
Yes.
Okay, maybe I just had to plug it in. Okay. So for the last over the last couple thousand years, you know, things started with the Greek philosophers hypothesizing that people find humor in earlier versions of themselves and the misfortune of others because it helps them feel superior. And then kind of moving forward, Freud had a theory that it was about letting off steam and releasing pent up nervous energy. So like when the punchline comes, the energy being expended is suppress inappropriate emotions such as desire or hostility is no longer needed and is released as laughter. I don't know. Freud had some weird, he's like, oh, this is why they like sex jokes and stuff.
I think Freud was a genius, but also like a gigantic douchebag.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah. As Jordan Peterson puts it, you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So he does have a lot to
Yeah, but then they get kind of
they
like, you know, they have these theories about psychology and everybody's like, oh yes, and they just start really like making shit up and like,
yeah, like, take it with a grain of salt, essentially.
Yeah,
right.
But because I mean, I refuse, you know, like, you know, America's Funniest Home Videos, just seeing dads get kicked in the nuts or like hit, like throw a pitch to their son and the son hits it and like hits them right square in the nads. Like that is funny. That's had to been funny since like the dawn of time.
Absolutely.
It's funny if you know that they're okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I assume
if I see some like physical injury type of thing, I'm like, oh God, are they okay? Once I know they're okay, I can laugh.
It always depends on like the gravity of the accident.
you got two shows you can submit your videos to. You got America's Funniest Home Videos, and then you have Faces of Death.
Which one do you submit?
Like someone's kicked in the nuts and they're okay. It's fucking hilarious, and it's on AFV. And Tom Bergeron's talking about it. If it actually like ruptures their nad, they bleed out, then it's on Faces of Death.
Oh, we should come up with our own America's Faces of Death, where we combine the two and just see what we can make of it.
Like these are the funniest deaths you ever see.
Hey, you know what? That 10,000 or 1,000 Ways to Die, that stupid show on Spike is essentially that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a really macabre show that they try to weave comedy into, but it's like, it's like
saw it a million times on the TV guide, you know, the guide on screen, but never actually clicked on it to watch it. So.
I honestly think that show is like aimed at people that are unemployed or frat bros, because it's just like the writing and everything on that show is like, meh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that idea, like how far back they've been trying to explain comedy.
Yeah, they're trying
Right.
to so basically they're trying to like come up with one general thing that ties it all together because it's something we really only know intuitively. And so they're trying to come up with like how do we put this explicitly? And another so they kind of went through like the historical theories. So I touched on the two, and then there's the theory of incongruity. So laughter resulting when a person discovers an unexpected solution to an apparent incongruity, such as grasping a double meaning in a statement and then seeing that statement in a new light. But then the article kind of goes on like none of these are sufficient. Here's people that have tried to kind of bring it all together. So two guys named Peter McGraw and Caleb Warren, from just psychologists from various universities, proposed benign violation. So humor results. The theory is that humor results when a person simultaneously recognizes both that an ethical, social, or physical norm has been violated, and that this violation is not very offensive, reprehensible, or upsetting.
These dudes are not funny. That is like they're like literally ruining comedy. Like,
right.
So they're
I want my
okay.
money
So
back.
their
really,
example is so okay. A church that recruits the faithful by entering into a raffle for an SUV. Anyone who joins in the next for an SUV for anyone who joins in the next 6 months. So study participants all judge the situation to be incongruous, but only non-believers really laughed at it.
Yeah.
So if you're serious about religion, you don't want anything. Anyway, I thought that was like a little weak, but
I think the word they can just say incongruity. I think that kind of covers it because it's like something's off here, like something doesn't. I don't know that word probably kind of is. I don't know. To me, that's that's like complex. Could be several things, or
Yeah.
you just say like, oh, the opposite of what I thought was going to happen happened. Like is funny sometimes, or seeing other people get hurt, but not in a deadly way is pretty funny. Like, especially when they don't expect it. I watch fail armies with my son all the time. We're just rolling, rolling, watching like old ladies fall on the ice, like from their Ring doorbell camera.
Shit's awful.
They're not dead because they live to like get the
Right.
video and then like submit it,
Wait, do you think they submitted or their grandchildren or somebody that? Because
Well, I mean, if they're dead, like their grandkids are like some sick bastards.
that are cashing in on Granny's unfortunate
Yeah.
demise. Yeah.
There's a lot of like the opposite of what happens. I remember the incongruity word from comedy classes, like explaining that, but it's kind of something that explains it, but not something you could use to build or make comedy.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
the creation of it is very intuitive. Like, yeah, I guess like if you write a joke, like it has to make you laugh on some level.
Wait, so since you two took classes, I've yet to take anything. Did they broach this topic at all prior to anything at the beginning, as far as like workshopping your material or working in groups?
I mean, there was sort of you would kind of come up with some idea. Yeah, there's some structure to how you came up with ideas and put them together. And
Yes.
work with them. Yeah, there was a little bit of structure to it.
Yeah. Like I remember the first class, they did kind of talk about like what makes it funny, and like didn't really get deep into it, but just kind of like had like 3 or 4 things, like the opposite of what happened. I think incongruity, where something is like, oh, I never noticed that before, can be funny,
Right.
Surprise could just be surprise, like, oh, that's funny, I'm surprised, or whatever. I remember for mine, it was really cool because our homework assignments were basically watching YouTube videos of comedians and like noticing different styles, like, like one-liners, like who's the guy that's dead, wore the dark sunglasses on stage?
Mitch
Mitch
Hedberg.
Hedberg.
And then like Nate Bargatze. That was how I was introduced to Nate Bargatze, like after my first class, because he's like a storyteller.
Uh-huh.
And then the structure was, the purpose of it was to like find your style. And I remember one of the things they said, like, first thing is like, y'all probably came in here with like a bunch of jokes you had written down that you think are really funny. And you've written those things down over like a long period of time. And they were like, throw all that out because you have to start from scratch.
Uh-huh.
And the starting from scratch was like, okay, well, the exercise of that was like, you're not just trying to make a 5-minute set, you're trying to make kind of like a joke factory for yourself. And the way to do that that's most authentic is by finding like, what's your style, like where does it come from, like, because and then comedy like comes from truth. I guess in some, like, because if like what's the opposite of truth is funny or something like that, or like if you wanted to do this for a long time, like you can't just count on yourself to do like genius Mitch Hedberg one-liners all the time. You had to like tell stories and like find your point of view and then figure out a way to like tap into that so that you could do like a 5-minute set at first and then a 10-minute and then actually like have multiple sets and things. So
right.
That was neat. I thought that was really neat because it was like throw all the shit that like you wrote that you thought was really funny that you brought and you thought you were going to stand up and showcase for the class day one, like throw all that stuff out and start over. And then they made us like answer questions, and then get up and like say the answers to the questions in the class. And they there's 2 instructors that would counsel us on, okay, here's what we think your point of view is, or like, here's what we're noticing as a theme in what you're saying. So I thought it was really great. I really enjoyed it.
For sure, man. It's insightful because me being a fan and just like never actually going through, following through on all that, just hearing your take, your experience, both of you, is like, it's a nice little look behind or peek behind the curtain, whatever you want to call it.
Well, didn't you want to do this at some point?
I did, but I figured, you know what? Fuck that. I didn't want to develop my voice because at the time, the few people that were fans of stand-up and I told that I wanted to pursue that, they were just like, oh yeah, you got to develop your voice, develop.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, well, how much does that take? It was like a decade. It's like, fuck
Okay, these are
that.
dramatic people that just want to keep you down. So screw 'em.
Well, yeah, but I figured that my voice and my weird mannerisms and shit, they're plenty developed. So I'm just gonna transfer all that onto the podcast and see where that takes me.
There you go.
Yeah, and I suggest that everybody else that does have that inclination or that desire, just try it out in podcast form and then see how you feel.
Yeah, it's free form, and if you got people, you're bouncing things off. So it's like kind of a little bit of improv.
Yes.
But without the much pressure. Yeah.
Well, if you go to, I think Jane and I, when we talked a bit about it, like our experience in the classes was a little bit different, and of course they're going to be like just different styles or instructor or whatever, but I recommend it. Like really kind of maybe get to know yourself a little bit.
Absolutely.
In a different way than you normally did. And also you can be any age. Any age. Like there was a real mix in my class.
Right.
A real mix.
I think the reason why I kind of focused so much or honed in so much on that 10-year window is that this was right when I was graduating high school. So at that point in time, when you're 17, 18, you just feel like 10 years is a long fucking time. But little did I know that if it was going to fly right the fuck by. So
I wish I knew then what, like everybody, but like, I wish I knew then what I know now. And then like maybe tried to get into something more creative back then,
Absolutely. Same here.
But I mean, it's like impossible, like if you like figured shit out, like Chris Rock or Eddie Murphy, they were doing stand up when they were 15 or whatever.
Or Dave Chappelle. I mean, he was doing 15 too.
Yeah, that's right. It's right. If you get figured it out at that age, I mean, you're just blessed, lucky, blessed, whatever. Like you are,
you're on the right path.
That's a gift. Yeah. Like, because most people obviously they never find that.
Yeah.
Find that creative think everybody's creative, but never quite find it or don't feel like they can, or no one encourages them to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, you said something about truth there, like humor and truth, which ties into actually one of the theories in this article. So a guy named Matthew Hurley, who he was a researcher at one of those universities. They didn't say what field, but his theory was nested in a contradiction. So humor is related to some kind of mistake. Every pun, joke, and comic incident seemed to contain a fool of some sort, the butt of the joke. So why do we enjoy mistakes? And really it's not the mistakes we enjoy, it's the emotional reward for discovering and thus undoing mistakes in thought. So it's not that we enjoy making mistakes, we enjoy weeding them out.
Okay.
So people derive the amusement from finding discrepancies between expectations and reality. And when those discrepancies are harmless, it's there's a sense of pleasure, and it keeps us wanting to look for those discrepancies. So the quick joke they give is I was wondering why the frisbee was getting bigger, and then it hit me.
That's a total dad joke right there.
I like it. In the nuts. Hit him in the nuts.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's
So, and then there was another example, like another set of researchers that went into like the evolution of, oh, here's primitive laughter in babies when you like tickle them, and kids and roughhousing, and then that like developed into
farts. Why are farts so funny? Scientists,
right.
Tell me why. Tell me that. All right. So I often think about like like ancient man, like
Did they laugh at farts? Like when did we start laughing at farts? Was that always, or?
Yeah, well, there was probably a time where like if you were hunting the saber-toothed tigers and you farted, that got you killed, so it wasn't funny. Or maybe it was funny because the guy that farted is the one that
So you're
got
saying
killed.
like it started out as like a deadly or like a
I'm really making
risk.
this up. Well, no, I'm just kind of like making it up as far as like
I know, but maybe
where farts always funny.
But the general theory of like maybe anything funny to us now started as something dangerous.
Maybe like, or it was the fart itself wasn't funny, but the fact that the guy that farted is the one that the saber-toothed tiger went and ripped to shreds, and all the other cavemen were like, oh.
It is like a
laughing
thing, like, oh, was that you, or was that you're kind of like, oh, I'm seen,
and they're laughing because it happened to someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's sort of like a modesty kind of relates to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden.
Well, also like the first cave woman who laughed at the caveman's joke, because that's Adam Carolla's theory, is that men have developed their sense of humor as more of a mating skill. Like women are funny, but they haven't needed to be funny. Like men, one could argue, like needed to be kind of funny. Like it's an attractive quality to females.
There was a little thing in there. It elevates your social status.
And punching down and making fun of the weaker people.
Women want to date up, and men date like across, and like men are willing to like date down in social status as long as you're hot and fertile. So
let's see. So what I was kind of getting at there was like, I think about like, like the early man, ancient man, and like religion. And like, I always think about it in religion in terms of like the first time a caveman saw lightning strike and was like, what the fuck was that? Like, cause now we know exactly what it is, but like for the first few thousand years of man, if not longer, like for the first like 40,000-50,000 years of man, they must have been like, oh my God, like what, like literally God, like what did that? What's up there that threw this bolt of lightning down? So also like, gotcha. Also like, like the first like the first time cavemen were sitting around and were laughing uncontrollably. You know, maybe they were on peyote or like, you know, smoking weed way back because it's been around a long time. But like the first time, like they all started laughing and couldn't stop laughing. You know what I mean? Like you've had those moments with your friends where like you just can't breathe.
Yes, love those.
And in their primitive minds, they were probably like just like we are, like trying to figure out why did that happen? Like, why was that guy's fart so funny that we all started laughing and we couldn't stop laughing?
Weren't expecting it, man. You taken
Yeah.
aback. You're surprised.
Yeah, and like the physiological response, you know, to that.
Yeah.
And then like let's eat more of whatever plant that was we ate.
Let's get some more of it.
Yeah, or whatever plant, that bush that we threw in the fire. Like every time we use that bush to start a fire, we wind up having a great time. Yeah.
Get more of that bush.
Discovering weed. Yeah. Okay, well that's good. I like the direction this all went. Yeah, and like the different comedians, and then also talking about one of my favorite subjects, that's like the science of comedy, and yeah, kind of history of it a little bit, like why things are funny. Yeah, I'm gonna go and watch a bunch of Fail Army videos tonight by myself.
Awesome. I'm gonna go watch more stand-up. That's my resolution. Summer.
Same here, man. I haven't been.
Let's go, Manny.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna get burnt the fuck out. But before we do that, want to direct the people to the Endless Ranters podcast Facebook group. Join up, and you can stay up to date with all our happenings, all our happy hour gatherings, which is happening tomorrow, as far as I can tell, because we didn't do it last week. Or are we doing one tomorrow?
Well,
no, because I don't think Robbie's available, and neither are Chris and I.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're postponing until the following week. So just
no, it's gonna be 2 weeks.
All right, so 2 weeks from now we'll be having an Endless Ranter happy hour. But join the Facebook group, and then that way you could for sure figure out when it's going to happen, when it's going to take place, so you're not left out in the dark wondering why the hell we're ignoring you.
Yeah, like you're having this feeling like I'm missing something.
Oh, what is it?
Other people are having more fun.
Exactly. And then we also have Endless Ranters on Twitter, Endless Ranters Podcast on Instagram, Endless Ranters at Gmail if you want to drop us a line, if the Twitter and the Instagram isn't, instantaneous communication enough for you. And Robbie Spotlight, he's got his Instagram up if you want to give him a follow and laugh at all his musings. And if you're anywhere near into the nerdy shit that I am, howwefigure.com, and then How We Figure on all the social platforms to, support all my happenings.
Yes, sir. Give it a listen.
Please do.
Yes. Well, man, thanks a lot. Thanks for bringing us around on that and taking care of the business there, Manny. Sure. Thanks, Jane. I'm going to say, let's wrap this up. Go watch some comedy and get it on.
Get it on.
Get it on, everybody.
All right. Good job, gang.
Thanks, lady.
Yeah.
Well, that was.
What's that? Has that always been like? Yeah.
That's new. I don't remember that.
Yeah,
prior.
we are recording now.
Must have been when I started playing with the settings. I clicked a couple different things on Zoom, so it must have been incorporated in one of those settings. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Well, I like it because it kind of gives you a little heads up.
It's very official.
Yeah. Hold up. Let me.
I want to play the rest of this.
It's not. Of course not.
I got to get another LaCroix.
I have a nephew who has that. I'd be devastated if something happened to him. But maybe, if we all just do this for 1 year, we're done with nut allergies forever. No.
Hold on. I was watching a documentary on food. Adam Carolla, he always talks about nut allergies and kind of implies they're fake, or like how come we never had nut allergies for so long. This show was talking about how we've changed our body chemistry. You with me? Oh, you're muted, or I can't hear you anymore. like we changed our body chemistry to where like we had certain things like germs, whatever in our bodies that we weren't allergic to those things, but like we are so much cleaner. Like,
Oh, that it's making
in,
us
like,
susceptible or whatever.
yeah, or it's just not even more so, just changing our body chemistry or like changing our gut chemistry or something like that, or you know, whatever enzymes or whatever we have that can break those things down that we don't have many more.
Yeah.
Because our bodies for thousands of years were used to fighting off all kinds of different other bacteria. And now that we wash our hands all the time, we shower regularly, we drink clean water, like our bodies aren't making those things anymore anyway. Like
That's true. It's an interesting point.
yeah, so it's not like all of a sudden kids are weaker or something like that, or we
Right,
you know,
right.
or you know, we've made ourselves we've changed ourselves. So
Of course not. Of course, if you're fighting for your country and you get shot or hurt, it's a terrible tragedy. Of course. Of course. But maybe if you pick up a gun and go to another country and you get shot, it's not that weird. Maybe if you get shot by the dude you were just shooting at, it's a tiny bit your fault. Of course, slavery is the worst thing that ever happened.
he's so proud of himself.
Listen,
it's
you
like-
all clapped for dead kids with the nuts. For kids dying from nuts, you applauded. So you're in this with me now. Do you understand? You don't get to cherry pick. Those kids did nothing to you. Of course, slavery is the worst thing that ever happened. Of course it is. Every time it's happened. Black people in America, Jews in Egypt, every time a whole race of people has been enslaved, it's a terrible, horrible thing. Of course. But maybe every incredible human achievement in history was done with slaves. Every single thing where you go, how did they build those pyramids? They just threw human death and suffering at them until they were finished. How did we traverse the nation with a railroad so quickly? We just threw Chinese people in caves and blew them up and didn't give a shit what happened to them. There's no end to what you can do when you don't give a fuck about particular people. You can do anything. That's where human greatness comes from, is that we're shitty people, that we fuck others over. Even today, how do we have this amazing microtechnology? Because the factory where they're making these, they jump off the fucking roof because it's a nightmare in there. You really have a choice. You can have candles and horses and be a little kinder to each other, or let someone suffer immeasurably far away just so you can leave a mean comment on YouTube while you're taking a shit.
Tell him, bro. Tell him.
Everybody.
It is kind of weird. It is. I've always thought that like it's weird that yeah, like we know like how they built the pyramids, I guess, you know, like it's horrible suffering, but people like go there and take pictures in front of them. Like, isn't this awesome? Or like
Yeah,
was
sure.
it the Incans or the Mayan temples or whatever, where like we know like, hey, this is the part of the temple where they were like just like sacrificing people left and right. People like were like, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna climb it and take pictures of it and smile. It's like it's weird how we celebrate horrible things just because they're a few thousand years old now.
All right, I left a gentleman alone in my apartment.
3, 2, 1. Good evening, endless ranter.
Oh, now you're playing our own show on our after part. Oh, weird.
No, I just needed to find out where the beginning was so I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what is he? I
Since we're-
thought you were about to
since we're
play
YouTube-
something.
Can I share the Victor Borga, another one?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
That's,
step back for a quick smoke.
This is one of his it wasn't going to go over well as a pod. But
improvised routine where he and his colleague Shahan Azrouni play the second Hungarian Rhapsody by Franz Liszt. Have a look.
Good old physical comedy. That other guy looks really familiar. Like he looks like the guy that plays PC in the PC Mac commercials with Justin Long.
They're really playing.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a
would
big
never
part
know
of why
that
you
this
like
was
it.
an act.
You can.
So yeah, that was.
No, you're not. Well, that was then. This will be.
Anyway, so that was one of his other bits. Chris, are you there? Are you frozen?
I'm here. No, I'm here. I was watching.
You're like completely still.
Well, oh yeah. I was like, I think, oh,
He was just taken aback. He was surprised.
well, I think part of like, I like that because I like watching classical pianists.
Yeah.
Piano is
Yeah,
something
like-
I wish I want to learn how to play. There's so many cool things you could do on there. God damn it.
I'm so glad I took lessons as a kid and now I'm getting back into it. And it's like,
Lucky.
I know enough that I can teach myself.
Oh, lucky.
So, yeah, it's been fun.
Oh yeah, no, be frank. I didn't. I don't know. I guess I wanted to talk about. Be frank was asking if we talked about Anthony Jeselnik, who is one of my favorite comics of all times.
Oh,
Again, very dark, very dark. Like he's like more of like one-liner, like little like very short stories, but like one-liners. I get, yeah, I think a different style.
I liked hearing him on Joe Rogan a few years ago because it sort of explained like the angle that he's approaching his material from, and basically,
Yeah.
he's basically embodying the villain from a wrestling match, basically, in his words. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I could see that now.
I think his last special wasn't my favorite. The one before that though was was a killer. Was
The
killer.
most
Yeah.
recent one was particularly hard for me to get into just because of the first few minutes. Just the way he was delivering things kind of made it hard to.
Man, your sound went quiet.
How quiet did it go? Is it
There
better
you
now?
go.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just saying that his most latest special was difficult to get through, so I don't know. I just never got around to finishing it. I like him
Yeah.
more as a guest
Yeah.
than I do a stand-up, which is weird.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because he is funny. It's just I don't know.
I feel the same way about I kind of feel the same way about Bill Burr. Like and then don't get me wrong. Like I love like Bill Burr's stand-up is awesome. Like
His black and white special is like easily one of the best in my opinion.
but I always love when he'd go on Conan and just kind of like he was kind of doing his same shtick.
Yeah.
But like I don't know why I enjoyed that like him like cracking Conan O'Brien up really bad. So
He is Bill Burr. When I go to my Facebook watch feed, he has like 50% of the things on my Facebook watch feed. It's like
have
Bill
you
Burr,
watched
Ben Shapiro, and then random.
Oh, I get a lot of Russell Brand videos, of course, because I've watched those. Yeah, what else do I get on my Facebook watch? A lot of Russell Brand, I guess.
I'm getting a lot of weird what is it, video game streamers, even though I don't do that shit. I don't.
Yeah, they're pushing that shit hard.
And a lot of it's just like
Yeah.
it doesn't really.
I think I might have selected like I like gaming, So now, so that like at some point, I don't remember ever like choosing any settings on Facebook recently, but yeah, and then they just throw you like like Jackhole 49 is playing Apex Predators right now.
Yeah.
And just watch it live. But
it's like, okay, I don't know this Jackhole guy, but sure.
And then what really annoys me about the Facebook watch, what they push is like they're really just fake, like really fake contrived videos like that are like produced that make it seem like you're watching like a confrontation.
Yeah.
Oh, like, oh, my guy cheated on me and I'm gonna trick him into
and they read
like
cards.
It's weird.
Yeah, and it's like totally bullshit. And then
that's a good reason why I left the Snapchat group I was in with the people I used to collaborate with on my podcast. It was like all 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them would just post TikToks or those stupid confrontation videos. Like, man, I'm out. Like, I didn't join this. I joined the group to stay in touch with y'all, not to watch bullshit internet videos.
There's one where it's like, watch me confront this guy that littered, and it's like they're in their car and they're driving behind a car that I guess the person like had a trash bag on top of their car that they probably meant to like throw in the dumpster or something.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and it falls off. But then like the video was actually a compilation of like 3 or 4 times this happened. It's like, give me a fucking break. Like, do you just drive around town all day with your camera on, like looking for people? It's like, it was
Don't
fake.
insult me.
Yeah, it's really fake. That's annoying, but man, there must be people that are like, watch this.
Well, I mean, they're cashing in on the viewership that used to control the talk, the view. They're cashing in on that next crop.
Yeah.
The unemployed, the ones that don't go out, the ones that are just always home.
I know Rob shared recently the shopping cart Nazi guy.
Oh, right.
Have you seen those before?
Mm-hmm.
Which like I'm all like, it does annoy me, and I think it's terrible in our society that people like that lazy people that don't put their shopping cart in the cart corral.
It annoys me just because I deal with that shit at work, man. Fuck those assholes.
Okay. Yeah,
just
I mean, fuck those assholes for sure. But I feel like the cart Nazi guy, is like barely a step above like those assholes. Like like chasing, like spending a lot of time in the parking lot and then like confronting people about it. And like, I would just run him over. I would run the guy over. Like,
I don't know.
get out and like run the guy down with my cart. Like, I'll put this cart away,
Oh, okay. That's what you meant. Gotcha.
Well, just yeah, I don't know, like, because the guy, I don't know, the guy's kind of obnoxious, I thought.
He is. I'm not about to go full aggro like that. Like nobody. Well, I'm not gonna say nobody, but a lot of times it's just like I'd rather reserve all that energy for something else.
I'm also biased because like in my local neighborhood Facebook groups, like in white suburbia, like or like, just like white, like even just middle class bourgeois suburbia, like those are like very common topics, like people not putting their carts away at the Kroger. Like really, like, is this like the worst fucking problems you people have? Like, is this really like, you spend a lot of time like taking pictures of people and shaming people on Facebook groups?
Is this what you see a lot of being posted on that Nextdoor app or whatever?
Nextdoor. I don't really, I'm on the Nextdoor app, but I don't, like, for some reason, like if there's ever like something that I get like an email like update and I click on it, like something, it doesn't work. And it's like super annoying to actually read the story. But like the Facebook, Facebook does it better, to where it's like you open it up and it's like, oh, there's my neighborhood group. What's this? Oh, it's somebody like that. Their biggest problem in the universe is the shopping cart at Kroger. It's like,
yes, I agree, that's douchey, but
like we got bigger
problems.
Than
sit at the computer and react.
We got bigger problems.
I react on scene. If you're gonna react in the moment. Don't like wait. Like if you come back home and then so.
All right, I gotta go, guys. I'll catch y'all later.
All right, well, man, take care, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Bye, Manny. I got your water bottle and your hat.
Yeah, I'll get it from you guys when we hang out in a few days.
That'd be awesome, man.
Oh,
Looking
yeah,
forward
we'll
to
let you
seeing
know
you.
what's up. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to it, buddy.
All right, guys.
See you
later.
Bye.
Hello there. Was there a chat?
Hello. Is there anyone left on YouTube?
Hope not, because I gotta go pack.
Probably Bruin backhand. There's 4 of us. Well, no, wait, maybe one of them is Manny because he's.
I am on my way to California tomorrow morning. And
yeah, you do have to pack.
Yeah, and like I didn't feel like packing last night, so
I gotta clean.
Don't worry.
Actually, it doesn't look too bad.
Didn't you clean last night? Like, how big a mess have you made in the last 24 hours that you'd be embarrassed for me to see?
No, I just mean like vacuumed, like not just pick up, but like.
Oh, okay.
I also accidentally left my little like egg dish thing in the shower. So like there's ants, like I have an ant problem. Packed.
Your egg dish. You left your egg dish in the shower. I don't even want to unpack that right now. It's too late. It's too late to get into your egg psychoses.
No, I only do the yolks. Like the whites can go away.
That's those white supremacists. The biggest threat to America, says Joe Biden. White supremacy. I wonder what Bruin Backhand thinks of that, or Monkey's uncle. I forget which one's a raging leftist.
I think it's Monkey's uncle.
Monkey's uncle is? Are you sure?
Monkey's uncle's got a lot of energy behind
I
him.
thought Bruin Backhand was the and I meant that with love. I meant that in like the nicest way possible.
Bruin Backhand just said Ron Swanson was a spirit animal. So
okay, then it's Frank Drachman then.
Yes. Our favorite.
I like that. Like some of the best moments of The Office, I think maybe more than, because I think The Office was obviously superior to Office Parks and Recreations, but like where Dwight Schrute like I think there was an episode where he comforted Pam because Pam was upset about something, and he wanted to go, seek vengeance on whoever hurt her.
Aw, yeah, that's sweet. I give him credit. I don't think that Mike Schur is. I think he has a point. I think he has a valid point. I just thought he went a little too hard. The worst thing that was a little too. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like maybe he was in a situation where he was doing like a series of, I don't know if he was doing like if this was just a one-off interview or whether he had done a series of them, and then you never know like what led up to that. Because the interview reads like 4 minutes long, but there was probably like a 30-minute interview where, I don't know, he was annoyed maybe.
Yeah. He just kind of has his bits.
I also like that article because it made me think differently. Because I think if Adam had said that, I'd been like, yeah, those fucking pussies. But it was coming from this guy who's Mose, who created the characters, Ron Swanson, and I was like, all right, okay, maybe there's something to this idea that, yeah, you need to be creative and like I don't know if Lenny Bruce was around today, I don't know if he could do his same act because it'd be kind of played out.
Lenny Bruce. Do I need to look him up?
I think you'll find like maybe some grainy footage.
Okay.
And it was also the 70s, which I don't know. I'm not a fan of the 70s.
Oh.
That was when I grew up, but it was gross. Everything was gross. I don't know.
Yeah. You got, oh man, Victor Borga. I'm going to have to binge like all of Victor Borga now. He's so funny. It's like dry, Scandinavian, or I guess he's Danish, but close enough. Jewish.
You don't think Danish and Danes aren't considered Scandinavian, are they?
But there's a road that connects. Like it's close. It's right there.
You would think they would be because I don't know.
If there's any mainland, like let's call them mainland Europe. If there's any mainland Europe that could be Scandinavian, it's the Danes.
Denmark was actually my favorite country I visited in Europe when I backpacked.
Did you go to the Lego Museum?
No.
Legos
is that fun. Danish? Well, I was like backpacking, so I was pretty much like a dirty migrant, like staying at youth hostels and like walking everywhere. I didn't do I walked a lot, did a lot of tourist things, but like not. I'm not even sure if there was a Lego museum at that time. This is like 1990.
Oh, Legos have been around forever.
But a museum, like I don't know if there was if it had reached that level of like people will pay thousands of dollars to fly here and go to this museum, so we should spend millions of dollars building it that level yet. But that was my favorite country, I think, maybe just because of the timing of it, but it was like super clean. I also went to the real Scandinavian countries. Like I went to Norway and I went to Stockholm, Sweden. I don't know if I went to Helsinki, but like they were, like super clean, super pristine cities, like just beautiful. And like every car you saw on the street was like looked like a brand new Saab. Like there was no such thing as an old car. I remember thinking that, like,
right.
But Denmark was equally beautiful, like very clean, but not nearly as expensive. Like as a backpacker, like that was a big deal. Like cigarettes weren't $8 a pack. They were like,
wait, you were smoking
$5 a pack. Yeah. Back then, I mean, I was like 19 or 20 or something, whatever, 19 or 20 years old, something like that. And it's like, you're like, again, you're not like staying in hotels and there's no luxuries. So it's like, I'm walking from place, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. So are you upset?
No, no, not at all.
I think at some point I rolled my own cigarettes too, drum tobacco, I think, because again, like cigarettes were so expensive. Like, you'd stay at a youth hostel, it'd be like $8 a night. And then like a pack of cigarettes was like $5. So I was like, probably, I think I met some dude from France who showed me how to roll my own cigarettes. And then he had hash. I wish Manny was here. And they would like kind of sprinkle, like they would kind of like use a lighter to burn like a thing of hash and like crumble bits in the cigarette. Yeah. Man, I hadn't thought about that in a long time. So then you're just smoking a cigarette on the street, but you're getting baked.
Oh, I think I had a puff of a cigarette once. That's it. That's it. I was like not appealing at all. I don't know.
More Danish talk. So the weird thing is I would take the Eurail, I would take the trains, and I would purposely take like 5-hour trains. So I'd like kind of crisscross Europe, because I figured like if I would just pay the money to have a sleeper car, like I could sleep in the car for like 4 or 5 hours, get some sleep, and then wind up like the next morning, like, wind up in a whole nother city.
Yeah.
And when I got to Copenhagen and got off the train, actually it wasn't clean, because that year was the year that Denmark won the European Championships, like football, like, which is a big deal, like UEFA, or I guess, Euros, whatever we called it back then. But like that was the year that like like they got into that tournament because Yugoslavia had fallen apart, like was falling apart at that time. I don't remember that country. There was a country named Yugoslavia.
Yeah,
and it fell apart.
Is.
Yeah, huh? I don't think so.
There still is.
No, Yugoslavia does not exist anymore. You can fact check me.
Oh.
Then it became like the Czech Republic, and then it became something else.
Okay, Yugoslavia. Central Europe. You're right. Was a country in Southeast Europe and Central Europe for most of the 20th century. Came into existence 1918.
It's gone. They're all dead. No, but they got kicked out. They got kicked out of the Euros, and I think Denmark got like the 16th spot. So they weren't even supposed to be in the tournament. They didn't qualify for it, but then they won it. So I got off the train and I'm like, oh my God, what's happened here? I remember looking down at the street, and there were hundreds of Carlsberg beer bottle caps smashed into the asphalt. Not like on the street, but like smashed into the asphalt, because they had won the European Championship the night before. So there were still like packs of Danes on the street. This is like at 7, 8 in the morning or something like that. Who were like in packs, like with their arms around each other, like singing "Ole, ole, ole" and all that stuff. And we're still drunk. And then someone told me that, Robbie really wants to hit on this Taiwan country. He's in the comments, but
okay,
that was a crazy memory. And I was like, I didn't know what was happening. And there were literally Carlsberg beer bottle caps, like metal bottle caps that had been stomped, not on purpose, but just because there were so many people in the streets that had been stomped into the into the streets.
So now it is Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Kosovo, Macedonia, Serbia, and Vojvodina, which
really, they broke into that many countries.
What the hell is Vojvodina? Socialist Autonomous Province of Vojvodina. It was one of 2 political entities formed in Yugoslavia after World War II, and one of 2 autonomous provinces. I don't know.
Those people got problems. They got problems.
Like, what is the actual? Maybe it's actually Serbia. It only existed until 19.
Hasn't Serbia been around a long time though? Because wasn't it a Serbian or like a Serb nationalist or something? I don't know if there was such a thing as a country of Serbia. that started World War One.
I've liked all the Serbian people I've met. I've liked.
Yeah, you met a lot of them.
Couple. It's like the further east you go in Europe, the more typical, like you don't get a lot of metrosexuals. Like you lose the metrosexual thing.
Okay.
It's like Western Europe is feminine.
Yeah, when your country's war torn, you don't get to wear girl jeans.
No, there's no girl jeans in Eastern.
To make fun, that was a horrible, like that was a weird. I guess there was like some kind of like Christian versus Muslim element to that whole thing in that region too.
I don't know.
But that was like some serious white on white warfare. Yeah. Like ethnic. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, not really talked about much. I think that was during Bill Clinton's era. And like we were like the big controversy then was like, should the U.S. do something more? And like, one of the one of those groups did some genocide or some miniature genocide on the others.
Right.
But I remember like backpacking, like being with other people from around the world, and like I had no idea at the time. Like I was 19. I just didn't really have any like worldly, world views on politics or anything like that. I figured like countries, once a country was a country, like it stayed a country forever, like, so like, the idea of a country like ceasing to exist and being broken up was like, what? Which is stupid because it's obviously like everywhere that is a country was not that country at some point. But I remember like people like having an attitude towards me about like Americans aren't doing anything about it. You know what I mean? Which I think it's different now.
We're
I don't know.
Supposed to be the saviors.
Yeah, I remember that very clearly and being
after
like,
World War II, we were like the savior role.
Yeah.
And they haven't let go of that.
I remember not really caring, like, but like thinking it was weird, like what?
Yeah.
But I think these are people that were my age, but maybe had more political views than I did.
Well,
anyway.
All right. Should we let people go?
Yeah. Let ourselves go, I think, more importantly.
This was fun. I like
Good to see some folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Be frank. I was going to say that, yeah, Mose was a special needs character. Like
y'all's are like,
that's what I was trying to say.
Man, you and B Frank are bonding.
I know we always like love the same thing somehow.
What did you guys bond about online? I was like, get a room.
Hoteps.
Yes.
Kwame Brown.
It was Hoteps.
The Kwame Brown rants are fucking fascinating.
I gotta do my deep dive. I watched the guy that was the guy that was on ACS that you posted.
Oh, Jason Whitlock.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I love that guy. He was gold. The last time he was on ACS was. Brown. Yeah, okay. I did I re-listened, and yeah, he did like go hard on the Kwame. Yeah.
And then he brought in a Kevin. I was like, oh God, no, another K name. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, some Kevin Samuels guy. I just heard the Hoteps on Hotep's Been Told You. I'm probably going to watch that while I pack, but they were talking about Kwame Brown, and I was like, why does that name seem familiar? I was like, oh, that's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was the draft pick, like literally like 20 years ago. And I guess he's been the butt of jokes for a long time. And I guess everybody just thought he was like a gentle giant, maybe when you're 7 foot and you're an athlete drafted right out of college, they think you're an idiot like LeBron James. But man, he had a lot of, a lot of things to say that I guess are hitting home, hitting close to home, good and bad for people. So
yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's 11. I'm gonna go pack.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's 11. Okay.
All right.
Everyone, Monkey's Uncle, B. Frank, Bruin Backhand. I think y'all are the ones watching.
Yeah.
All right.